Hi, good to see you today. Thank you for joining us once again on the Tomosi Business Training Series. As always, our mission is to equip you with business knowledge and skills geared at taking your business to the next level. We are still continuing with the fourth key driver of enterprise competitiveness, which is level of financial investments in a firm. Important to note as we cover this topic is, if you are building for only a season, your attention to the search for deeper investments is very limited. However, if you are building businesses that will outlive you and succeed on both domestic and external markets, the level of financial investment matters a great deal. Enjoy!
Firms, F-I-R-M-S, or companies or businesses, not nations. Firms or companies, not nations, actually compete on the global market, on the domestic market, and it is because of this competition that makes nations strong, because states don't always trade directly. Now, so if companies, not nations, compete against each other for market presence, for wealth creation, we must therefore put very careful attention on how much a firm or a business is applying back in her system in order for it to compete. The net effect of competitive firms, both on the domestic and international market, makes a country even more competitive and tremendously grows her economy. In the food processing industry where we are engaged, as an example, financial investments requirements, they continue to rise and rise and rise, even as efforts and pressures to grow the business increase. So there's no letting up. It is almost like putting up a 50-story building, because when you do that, the amount of concrete, the amount of sand, the amount of stones, gravel, cement, steel, and other foundational materials that hold the beams of the structure, those materials are so immense, but they are not seen with our eyes by people who come to the building. The people who come to the building see nice windows of different shades and color. They see elevators. They see, curtain glasses. They look at the aesthetics on the external. This is because the external is untenable without deep foundations. That's how financial investments in a business are. You go on and on and on and on and on and on, strengthening the foundation until the building can come up and it is rented and you're successful. Likewise, in finances and business, that's what happens. Now, when, however, you are building a small hut, like traditional huts that I know in my area when I was growing up, you don't need to invest in this kind of foundational expenditure. So if I take the parallelism or the analogy of a small hut that doesn't need structural foundation and a 50-story building that needs deep foundations, it is very easy to see why some of our businesses are not often competitive in their segments. If you are building only for a season, your attention and search for deeper investments is very narrow and very limited. But if we are building businesses to outlive us, if a generation, a lifetime is 80 to 100 years, if you're building a business to outlive you, if you're building a business to fulfill its purpose and potential, if you're building a business to succeed on both the domestic and external markets, the level of financial investments matter very, very much as a lever of competitiveness. In agriculture, for example, investments keep rising, starting from cultivation and opening up of the land, to the planting seasons you go through, to harvesting and how you manage the harvest, to storage of what you have harvested, to quality, storage and its quality, to processing and its requirements, to standards, to packaging and how attractive that packaging is to the consumer, to the marketing, and eventually to the full understanding of the market and its tastes and preferences and the segments on that market, to transportation and logistics and their quality and timeliness to the eventual market you aim at. You really have to consider these things one by one in the process of financial investments in agriculture in order for you to be competitive. Now, even post-consumption, let's assume I produce my milk or my water or my juice, there are still some actions that you do after consumption, such as recycling of plastics and how they are disposed. You require investments if you want to build a sustainable, good reputation of a product process that you have put on the market. In our businesses, over the years, and I can tell you we've been in business now 23 years, we have struggled to answer the question of up to what point does a shareholder get their money back so that they stop plowing in both their time and their resources to keep the business working. If a business is more than 10 years, like some of our businesses, actually almost all our businesses, apart from the foundation, are more than 10 years old, and the shareholders are still putting in money, they're still putting in time, why does that business have to exist? These questions keep nagging, troubling, knocking on your mind as an entrepreneur. And if you don't have a compelling reason for being in that line of business in the first place, you can't keep the midnight candle burning. But business is both about profit as well as purpose. And since business has a social role as well as an emotional feel, often it is hard to make a quick judgment call simply based on the inputs that go into the business. Inputs, important as they are, should always be measured against other yardsticks. In business, for example, we look at the growth of the business earning, the earnings of the business and how they are growing. Are they above the market average in the sector the business is engaged in? We also look at the stability of these earnings. How consistent have these earnings been over a given period of time? Can I draw a pattern on the stability of these earnings? We also look at the quality of these earnings. Just focusing on earnings alone can show you the future of this business and what needs to still go in. The quality of the business earnings, which means sometimes that the company seems to increase its earnings, but overall its revenue is declining and its cost of operation is going up. So you've got to look at all these yardsticks in order for you to make a decision on financial investments in that business. These yardsticks, if you follow them very clearly, they show you whether the management of the business that you've engaged demonstrates ability to turn your equity and investment, you as shareholders, to turn these into profit. Now, when you compare these earnings, these yardsticks I mentioned, with the competition, with the industry, with the sector, then you get a full picture of what decision needs to be made about the future of this business in terms of financial investments. What is the cost of dropping this business versus the various related opportunities on the market, and the matter of starting afresh if you drop that business? In our businesses, we keep coming to this one issue. We keep coming to it. What is the purpose of this business? And how much have you put in to get the scale that returns your equity with a good margin? You have to keep asking that question yourself, your staff, your colleagues, and people in the sector. It always seems to me that we need more financial investments, not just to be competitive, but even to make the call on whether the product is doing well or not. This is the dilemma of many entrepreneurs. Because who really wants to keep applying more money in a product or in a business that has a very long gestation period, when there are people on the side making quick gains and moving on? You keep in the enterprise because you know that the enterprise is more than a quick gain. It is a sustained effort to get a business to produce goods and services that will in the long run solve customer problems. A business is there to solve customer problems and make an impact on its community and be profitable. Now that, what I said, requires more and more money and deeper patience to stay the course and play a long game, especially if the sector is still growing, as seen by the competition. If you look at your competition and the customer needs. I thank you for listening to me. Have a great weekend.
Would like to hear from you. Please email us at info@tapmedia.com and visit our website at www.tapmedia.com. You can also visit our offices located at Tomosi Business Park, Luzira, Port Bell Road, or call 0414 220 702. Thank you.